What's up, everybody? Benja Welldone coming at you live post comedy night review. So, I just did comedy. It was my first time in over 6 months since the pandemic started. So, a short little story. About 6 months ago, my Facebook account kind of got hacked. And I say kind of because what happened is somebody took my profile picture and they made a duplicate account, and I reported it. But Facebook, you messed up, because what they did was they deleted my account, left the fake one up, and every single person, all the contacts that I've made from every comedy show that I've been in here since I've been in Texas the last year and a half or whatever, in an instant, all gone. So I'm pretty much starting from scratch, but I learned a lesson. I got a website now, I get a mailing list, so I can just send out one email and everyone will get it regardless of the social media. Now, with that being mentioned, how did I do tonight? First time performing in the last 6 months. And this is a raw, I literally just got off stage 30 minutes ago, right? Lots of thoughts, a lot of feelings, and I'm trying to be as intelligent, logical, and accurate as possible. If the crowd rated my performance on a 1 to 10, my honest assessment, they might say it was at the very best, a 9, at the very worst, maybe an 8. Because I was consistently making everybody laugh for all of the old material. Now here's what the change-up is. The old material lasted about 5.5 minutes. From the 5.5 minute mark, I had an 8-minute set. From that point forward, it was completely new stuff. You could tell there was a completely dynamic shift in the material that was unvetted, because the way comedy works is that you have to imagine being a professional fighter and you have a championship fight, and the night of you want to try a punch that you didn't ever try in training before. That is the equivalent of trying a joke on stage that you haven't ever tried before, especially when it isn't vetted. Now, I went into some new stuff. I gave the crowd some old stuff that I knew would work, and I also vetted some new stuff, and it was a learning experience as far as the new stuff goes. The old stuff, I know it's like a handy tool. I always know it works. 100% success rate, without question. But also my timing was off, with the smaller crowd and people being spanned out a little. I honestly felt that my timing was a little off, because part of comedy is a big part of comedy is timing, and I know I could have done that better. For example, when you're on stage and you start to build a rhythm with the crowd and stuff like that, you know when to hit them again and when to hit them again, and then on and on and on. Because of and this isn't an excuse, me being away for 6 months, I started building up that momentum and doing very well, but I don't feel like I went into the material fast enough after they finished laughing. So ideally, directly after there's a break in silence, that's when you pick up. Because let's just say that a crowd laughs at one joke for 4 seconds. You don't want to do a joke over them, right? So you start the second that they stop. If they stop laughing in 2 seconds, then you start after that, after they're done, whenever at that point is. So one of my jokes, so here's the thing, I'm an Army vet, right? And I love the military and everything. One of my jokes, I actually talk about a girl that I dated that was in a wheelchair. Now, I'm not saying anything bad about anybody, but here's the thing. As an Army vet, I know people that have actually ended up in a wheelchair. And I would see them at the gym. They're the most motivating and inspirational people ever. They are unstoppable. They are an inspiration, and I salute them. Okay? However, even people in a wheelchair don't want to be treated differently. Even people in a wheelchair don't want to be put on a pedestal, and they don't want to, they don't want special privileges. I'm telling you from experience, from people that I actually know, they hate that shit, okay? But the thing is, there was a guy that was actually in a wheelchair, and when I say said this one joke, I was telling myself, I defended it, which is a part of saying the joke, is defending how and why and the reason of saying it, which is that nobody wants to be pitied. And people laugh at the joke and they agree with me. But with that being mentioned, I would never want to intentionally offend anybody in a way that was without class. And I haven't ever told that joke in front of somebody that was in a wheelchair. Maybe it wasn't, maybe they were just temporarily in one, you know? Maybe their foot wasn't feeling well, or they dropped something on it, whatever. I don't have a clue. But there's no way for me to edit what I'm saying, because it's already like, I already got it locked up, I got my set list, I'm ready to fire. So that was just one thing that I know I did well, but internally I really hope I didn't hurt that guy's feelings, because regardless of the circumstance, I know that those people that are in a wheelchair, for one reason or another, they work harder and they do more for equal or less results. I have nothing but respect for them. And that's part of what the joke has to do. It has to do with not giving it away, but it basically has to do with treating people equally, and not necessarily belittling, but not giving like preferential special treatment to someone, because you make people feel like they're less than you when you do that. I'm not saying you specifically, the listener, but I'm saying people in general. Okay? I mean, pride comes in a lot of forms, and people don't like to be pitied, you know? So, anyway, enough of that. I really hope I didn't offend him by any means, but the way that I tell this joke, it is very full of class, it's very funny, everybody laughs, and then I make a great point, which is that nobody wants to be pitied. Okay? And that's the truth. Nobody wants to have people think less of them or anything. But anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. I'm not trying to do that. This is the post-comedy review. Now, the reason I said a 7 or an 8 is because my new stuff, on a 1 to 10 scale, how if the crowd had to judge me, actually I said 8 or 9. I'm going to knock that back to a 7 or an 8. Because if you look at the body of work, stuff that I have not tried before because I didn't have an opportunity, because I've like open mics and a lot of the other places are still closed, I learned a lot of stuff that is new, and if I said exact material, I would edit it, work on it, change it around, and it would be that much better. That's the essence of comedy, is constantly editing, altering, and making things better. Not going into something that you haven't used before multiple times, and it was literally the first occasion that I've said it to anybody. So I didn't hesitate, but I kind of, the reason I'm telling myself it's the first time, it is the first time on stage, but I also tried it in parking lots and a few other things, but it's kind of hard to get a reaction for a middle of a joke without telling people the middle, and that's what I did. I didn't ever tell like the full story for some of the new stuff. But that's good. It was a learning experience, and I know with my new stuff what I have to do to fix it, how to sharpen it up, how to tighten it, and how to make it better. Now, how would I rate myself? Here's the thing. I have extremely high standards. And I really want this more than anything. More than anything. This is what I want. Now, before I get into how well I thought I did, I am going to make a side comment. I did great networking. I met a lot of great people at the show. And I'm finally starting, as I mentioned, my Facebook got messed up and deleted. I'm slowly starting to build up that base of people that would like to come out and see me. But you know what? That's the reason that I had to give them old stuff and make them laugh, and still work on new stuff so that I could get better and improve, you know? I feel like it wouldn't be fair and it wouldn't be challenging. Oh, that's something else. On a 1 to 10, I feel like I would give myself a 6 because I wanted to challenge myself and do crowd work for like a solid minute. And just sort of feel the crowd and talk trash and joke around and mess around. And I didn't do that. So I let myself down. If anybody from that show watches this tonight, I intended on doing about a minute of crowd work and just sort of like really mix things up and just just get to know the crowd a little bit, just have some fun and be lively and improvise. But I didn't do that, and it wasn't specifically because I thought it would go bad. I knew it would go great. I can improvise without air, without problem. But I was also telling myself that I could always improvise later, and I wanted to try as much new stuff as possible. So that was kind of how I made that decision. Now, something else. I had an 8-minute set. 8 minutes, okay? Well, I stopped at the 7-minute mark, and that was actually a tactical, purposeful reason. It's not that I didn't have material. I did, 100%. But after I was done the old stuff, I was around like 5.5 minutes. I knew that if I continued past a certain point, I wouldn't finish on a high note. So I basically did some of my new stuff in this one story that I know is about 90 seconds long, about me going to like seeing this like Korean dentist back in the day. All in all, I would grade, the crowd might grade me as a B, and I'm just guessing at best, and I would grade myself a C. But see, me being critical on myself is part of what's going to make me great, because I'm always striving to be better. I'm always networking before, and that's another weird thing as far as networking after. It's not really possible right now to do all the things that I normally would. Normally, I would hug people and take pictures and all that other stuff. I wasn't trying to be out of work for 2 weeks and get the corona, which is also a weird thing. I did as much networking as I could before the show, but I try to also respect their space, but still get in their space a little so that I could talk to them and stuff like that. What else? Oh yeah, so as far as the set minute goes, the last thing that you want to do with any material is you don't want to necessarily be stuck in the middle of a story and then just get off stage abruptly. Which is exactly with an 8-minute set. If it was 10 minutes, I could have finished. If it was 9 minutes, I can maybe go a little faster, I could have finished. But 8 minutes, it would have been an awkward, in my opinion, it would have been an awkward transition because I'm literally in the middle of telling a story and then I say goodnight, So I decided to pull back by 1 minute. Okay, my total time of 7.5 minutes, of 8 minutes to 7. And finish out in a way that I could sort of end on a high note, So that was the quick shift. When I started talking about the whole Korean dentist thing, that was because I knew that if I continued to go in the direction I was already going, that in my opinion, I was going to be in the middle of a story. And that's a weird thing. That's like maybe like, hey, the craziest thing happened. Imagine like turning off a film like halfway through and then just ending it. Like that's it, you end the night. Where I was in my set list, I knew that I ended at a certain point where I tried out, where I did my old stuff, I worked on some new stuff, and I finished with something that I thought that they would like, and they did, which was the whole Korean dentist thing. So that's my honest assessment. I'm going to be more prepared next time. Not that I wasn't, I completely was, but I'm going to have an 8-minute set, or maybe like a minute of crowd work. But I don't ever want, I'd always want to end on a high note, and I don't ever want to end on like a middle note, if that makes any sense. So, short recap, did old stuff, I did new stuff, and then I finished with some old stuff. That way I would leave with them thinking of So that's how I did. And now what I really want to do is I want to turn my car around, go right back on stage, have a different crowd, and be that much sharper and say the stuff that I know is new, and edit some things. That way it's constant laughter without pause, it's just, you're on. You know what I mean? If anybody watches this and you saw my set, the new stuff began directly after I talked about my wife's nickname. From that point forward, all the way up until the dentist thing, that was all new stuff. So it's a little random info, but if you saw my set, that's exactly what happened. Shout out to the great people that I also met. I didn't get their names, but the guy with the dreads, shout out to you. And you got some great people. I enjoyed talking with you guys before the show. So I hope you like my stuff. And feel free to add me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or whatever. And I got a website. If you go to my website, if you just send an email to me, you'll be on my email list. So at the very least, the next time I'm doing a show, you'll see like the more and improved version of either completely different stuff, or stuff that I said, but it's like that much better. And you'll notice the difference. You'll notice the change because I'm taking out this. Comedy is crazy like that. It's so interesting, you know? Like when you watch a stand-up special, you're not thinking like, what most people might be thinking is like, wow, this guy's hilarious. Little do you know, or I'm sure you do, but I'll just say it out loud. That guy had to, this sounds weird to say, but there's a lot more failure than there is success in comedy when it comes to building a joke. You can have a great idea, great premise, right? But it all has to connect. Boom, 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 boom. And you tweak this, you tweak that, and you look at the finished product, you're like, wow, this guy's brilliant. But if you actually want to see the art in motion, see a set when it's just an idea, when it's just like a concept of something. And then if you were to see that set, like the stuff that I was talking about divorce, I didn't have enough time to get into what I really wanted to, and dating and breaking up and stuff like that. Think about where it is tonight, and then if you see me say that again, it'll sound like it's completely different material because I'm only taking the high notes, okay, and I'm kind of like airing out the rest, and I'm just keeping the good stuff, and I'm building off of that. So yeah, that's comedy in a nutshell. I hope everybody has a beautiful night, a beautiful day. If you're listening to this, if you've listened this far, feel free to check me out. If you got an email, if you got a question or anything like that, I love to always stay connected with people. I don't ever really want fans. It sounds kind of like weird, but I'd be down to be friends because more than likely, if you thought it was funny, if you liked the way that, you know, my outlook of the world and my point of view, more than likely we'd probably be hanging out, and we would probably be people that would socialize in real life. That doesn't mean I'm actually going to hang out with you, but that does mean that if I was situationally around you, if I say things that you like my point of view, naturally, that's how friendships start, you know? So, I know that sounds really like, you know, boisterous and phony and fake and stuff, but it's the truth, you know? Fans, to me, it just sounds disingenuous. I feel like it puts me up on a pedestal, and I don't really like that idea, you know? So, but either way, if you think I'm funny and you want to support, I always put ridiculous stuff on Instagram, and I do this video series. I usually just do it once a week, but today is different because I just had all these ideas and all these feelings, so figured I would put it out on video. You know, I've only been doing this video series about maybe like a year or something like that. Maybe less, probably less. But it's one of the best things that I've done because I'm being consistent. They say it takes like 5 years for something like this that I'm doing to actually build momentum, and that's fine. I should have been doing it a long time ago. But anyway, that's all I got for you tonight. I hope you like my show. And hearing my inner thoughts as far as what happened, why it happened. This is sort of like the behind the scenes intel, so to speak, as far as my decision making and my choices. And not just that, on the fly, I was also told, and it's not a big deal, but it's something small, that I had to bring up the person before me, and I was perfectly fine with that too. But it's just one more thing that I evolved with. But I just had to make sure that I said his name correctly. And it was Sib Raza. That's what it was. So anyway, hope everybody has a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you for your time. I'm Benja Welldone. Check me out. Peace.